Celia Shaheen. All right, she's got a couple pieces. This woman is definitely an artist, of course. Let me tell you some background on her. Plano West Senior High School, her teacher is Ted Kincaid. The first thing we're going to look at is her digital photography, Portrait of Lady Modérn III. This one is a very interesting piece. It is a little bit of Renaissance portrait integrated with the modern technology. So definitely tell me, I guess, what inspired you or who inspired you to put two different, basically the past and the present together?
Yes, so this work came about in a 2D design class I was taking. I had a background of very traditionalist artwork. I did a lot of still lifes. I did a lot of portraits for like 13 years. And so I came into this class, which introduced me to different types of new media. One of them was digital photography. So I kind of experienced this new kind of tension and new sense of exploration in my work, where I was still maintaining my traditional background and still like exercising some of the skills that I obtained from that background, but also kind of exploring and kind of investigating new media, kind of new ideas. Mm-hmm. So that has to do with kind of this tension between new and old media, between the past and the present.
So what do you want us to get from it when we see it? Because right now I'm thinking, I mean, this is very unique. I'm looking at the past and the present, and I'm thinking, I love paintings and portraits, but at the same time, I embrace digital photography. What do you want them to get? What do you want them to leave with after they're done seeing this?
I guess just that kind of the accessibility of art. In the medium itself, as digital photography is something that's incredibly accessible, something that can be shared, that can be easily, anybody can be a photographer, anybody can be an artist with a camera or like a camera on your phone, but also kind of the idea of accessibility to being an artist is accessible, and so is the artwork. Mm-hmm. So the idea that this is just something that you can interact with, and also kind of ideas of vanity. What does it mean to be vain? Is it vain if a Renaissance woman sits for 5 hours and gets her portrait taken? Is that just as vain as somebody who takes a picture of themselves with their camera phone? And just kind of exploring these ideas and kind of juxtaposing these ideas and kind of pointing them out in kind of a humorous way.
I think so. I want to know who's behind the portrait. Who's that?
Yeah, this is my friend Laura Lancaster.
Okay.
And she was so kind as to come to my house and to pose for me. I was like, this is the first work in this body of work. And I was like, Laura, I need somebody to do this for me. I don't know how I'm going to take the picture and also be the model. So she came and I like dressed her up in all of this garb that I had just like lying around my house. And so
I think it looks beautiful. What's the plan? I mean, is this it, your digital photography, or do you do all different other types of art? Because you said you've been doing it for 13 years, but you're only 18, so at 5 years old, that's when you started all this?
It's kind of just a rough estimate. I mean, a lot of people, it's an incredibly cliched thing to say, but like I can't, remember a time where I wasn't creating. It was always something that I kind of gravitated towards and something that I enjoyed. Right. So, but yeah, this digital photography in general is kind of a newer thing I've been doing. I'm in a drawing course right now, so I'm kind of away from the camera, which is something that kind of hurts me a little bit. But I've been doing some new things as well. I've been doing some installation work. I just did my first piece of performance art a couple of weeks ago too. Wonderful. So I'm definitely kind of just trying to push my boundaries, just kind of explore.
What's the plan after you graduate from high school? What do you want to do? What do you want to major in?
I'm going to university. I'm going to start out in the fall as a double major in art and art history. So I'm kind of interested right now in the idea of like being a working contemporary artist and also like working in like a contemporary, like a gallery space or museum, kind of the relationship between a curator or a director, somebody who works in a museum, and the kind of relationship they have with the artist.
Okay. All right, and she had two pieces in this. I guess the next piece we're going to, it was an art history essay, and it's called Sowing and Reaping. Obviously this is a Van Gogh painting, and you wrote an essay about it. Why did you pick Vincent Van Gogh's Sheaves of Wheat? Why pick this one?
I was always kind of drawn to this piece. I had visited it basically every time I would go to the museum. I'd head up to the Reeves collection and check out this work, because I was familiar with Van Gogh's work, and it was very captivating, and just the way that that he painted very expressively, kind of the thick impasto of the paint is just kind of grabs you, kind of takes hold of you, especially in this painting, with kind of the contrast between all of these vibrant yellows and these kind of a little bit of ochre and these violets, kind of creates these complementary colors. It's almost like a vibration, like a little bit of a buzz, it feels like, and just the way that the lines are kind of just scintillating through the painting. It's visually captivating, and I did some research on it because I had like a museum catalog of Sheaves of Wheat, and I found out that this was one of the last paintings, or some people believe it to be one of the last painting that Van Gogh painted before he committed suicide. So that obviously kind of sparks some
kind
interest.
of your aha moment, right?
Absolutely. That's when I really became really interested in the kind of more of the message in this work as kind of disguised symbols of like life and death and like cycles of the harvests and of obviously like the reaping and sowing of just like the new harvest.
When you write an essay, and it seems like what you're doing is looking under layers and layers, that people, sometimes we look at this, we go, Van Gogh, beautiful. But when you write an essay, it appears to me that you start taking off the layers. And why is that key in order for everyone to understand it?
Just kind of, I think it's a little bit easier to kind of digest if you kind of like look at the big picture, but then kind of dissect each bit by bit, kind of observe one element of the painting at a time, kind of like putting a puzzle together, kind of taking all of the elements that kind of add up to create the work. I think is really satisfying to be able to kind of pick out different parts of the painting that really make it expressive, really make it emotional, really make it meaningful.
So basically, when we're all looking at a piece of art in this museum, we should start looking at the layers underneath. It's deeper than just what you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. I always encourage to stop at a work and to just look at it. You don't have to be looking for anything in particular. You can look at like the placard on the wall. You can just look at the work, but just kind of think about like you being in like the artist's space, like you being like, I'm in the same, like the distance away from this painting as the artist once was. I always kind of like to think, but just kind of thinking about how your own experiences can maybe relate to this work. Think about kind of even the subject matter, how you can interpret subject matter is also an interesting place to start if it's like something that's not objective, but just like asking questions and always being curious, I think is very important.
Very key, always be curious. Celia, thank you so much for sharing both pieces with us.